Recorded at the WNDU 16 News Now studios, this is the South Bend Tribune's Pot of Gold Notre Dame football podcast. Here are your hosts, columnist Tom Noie, Notre Dame football beat writer Mike Berardino, and WNDU's Jackson Neill.
We start with this for week 5 of the college football season. Is it just me, or is it just different around here lately?
It feels different.
Doesn't it?
In this room?
Not in this room, because this room's small enough as it is. So, wait, hold on. At least they got the athletic sock that was laying on the floor for
I got that before the season
for
started.
the last 3 months. No, just like around town. Maybe it's just the fact that finally there's something to feel good about Notre Dame football, because it's been such a grind to get back to 2-2, losing to Miami of Florida, losing to Texas A&M, the defense being awful, beating Purdue, but feeling like they had lost to Purdue. And then now finally 4 weeks into the season, last week when they're coming off the 56-13 victory in Fayetteville, Arkansas, and we'll get to Mike Berardino's Fayetteville food review here eventually. It just feels like everybody around Notre Dame, everybody at WNDU, the sports coordinator that's sitting across from me, everybody's in a good mood this week.
That's dangerous.
It is dangerous, but it's, you know what? It's nice. It's nice. However long it lasts, it beats the first 3 weeks of the season when we were trying to just grind out a show and not spend all 60 minutes bad-mouthing the Notre Dame defense. Like, everybody's feeling good around here.
Yeah, there's some actual positives to really talk about right now, whether it's like CJ Carr, the running game. Defense obviously did look better, only giving up that many points. So, yeah, it's at least there are still obviously some areas of concern, but it's like, you're right. There are now things where I can go into like my nightly sportscast and say, yo, here's a positive we had to cover, not another quote about Chris Ash.
Like, we made it 2 minutes and 12 seconds into the show before somebody has a Chris Ash reference. We could have gone the entire podcast and not talked about Chris Ash, because who cares?
Yeah.
That leads us into our one question. If Notre Dame just must go and try and outscore people for the rest of the season with that quarterback, those running backs, and those weapons with that offensive coordinator, is that necessarily a bad thing?
Not in the regular season, not with the people they have lined up to play the rest of the way. Steve Angeli out for the year, so Syracuse just lost at home to Duke. By the way, everything that happened to the teams remaining on the schedule on Saturday
not good.
Could not have been worse for schedule juice.
Very bad. Very bad.
Starting
with USC,
Illinois.
USC, like, here's Lincoln Riley. He's finally going to win a game that matters in the Central Time Zone.
Nope.
And then they give up that last drive and give up the field goal kick, and then right on down the line. So lots of bad going on. Yeah,
NC State laid an egg against Virginia Tech. Pitt was bad. Pitt lost at home to Louisville. And Stanford won, but won by 1 over San Jose State. And Boise won against Appalachian State convincingly, but I can't say everything was against the schedule juice, but so many. Certainly the ACC part of it flopped, and
like they so often do.
Yes, so
I know you have Miami, but the rest of that ACC, woof.
Yeah,
bad.
Yeah,
Georgia Tech.
Very lucky to win.
Which barely beat a very bad Wake Forest team.
As a letdown game.
And Florida State earlier losing to Virginia. I know Notre Dame doesn't play either team this year, but yeah, the overall power ranking of the of the ACC is going to be pretty low, and but that's for later.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're...
And that's it. That's all he's got to say. He puts a period on it, and he's done.
I want to talk about ribs.
We'll get there.
So, to answer your question, Tom, I don't think it's a bad thing. I mean, it kind of feels like, in a way, like the opposite type of schedule that, like, Indiana had last year, was like their tough games came at the end, and they just blew all the easy competition out, lost the tough game against Ohio State, then were able to make the playoff. It feels like this for this Notre Dame team, it's like tough games at the beginning. Okay, you drop those. And then if you just go out there and put up 56 points every week.
Again.
I think it's just like what Indiana did last year.
So just when you think, yeah, this offense is really rolling. They scored 56 points against Purdue, but then again, it's Purdue. But then they go out and they do it again. They get 56 points. What are you?
What is this guy doing?
What are you showing? I'm scrapping anything else.
How do I can't do it. Okay, here we go.
If you gave me that photo, I could put it in the show.
Do you want it now? Put it
Sure.
later? Put it in there later. Oh, I lost it. Okay.
All right, where are my show notes?
I'll put it in post.
I'm throwing this out. I'm throwing that out. Arkansas Rap. Notre Dame 56, Arkansas 13. We'll skip. Oh, there you go. The first question from the Arkansas Rap, the most pressing question: what did Mike Berardino have at dinner at Herman's Rib House in Fayetteville? He's showing.
Jeez, I'm brutal at this.
For the writer, for the watchers of the show, he was showing the meal.
Oh, we're putting it in post. Don't worry.
Simulcast.
All right, you sit down at Herman's Rib House.
I had to wait now.
How long?
They said when I walked up there, people were waiting out the door, and it really is kind of a shack, and with a lot of great pictures inside.
He said shack. I thought he was going to say something else.
Yeah, I was going to be putting a note on the bleep that.
Herman's house. No, it was very nice. People were wonderful, but they said about going to be an hour and 15 minutes, and the guy didn't blink. He didn't apologize. It's just how it goes.
Yeah.
But I got in about 40. Okay. And it gave me time to watch that ESPN piece on Jeremiah Love that I hadn't watched yet, and I was very good. And then it was time to eat.
Oh, so you went there after the game?
After the game, yeah.
Not Friday night?
No, I stayed in Tulsa.
That's right.
And I can go on and on. I just say real quickly, anybody who goes to Tulsa, Oklahoma, check out that Bob Dylan Center. So much better than the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because it's just all Dylan. Now, you better like Dylan.
Yeah.
But boy, that's a great place, and it was only $13, and I could have spent 10 hours there. I only had about 2.5.
Yeah, you're going to have to give me a little bit more from Herman's Rib House.
Yes. Okay. So,
what was the order?
Lou Holtz had been in there on Thursday. I checked on that. He had been in there 2 days earlier, and the lady said he sat in the corner. Not at my table. I was right by the fish tank. And one of the reasons I will say, they don't have enough lonely guy tables. They don't have enough two tops. I was at a table for 4.
Oh, man.
And I felt guilty because there were another 50 people outside waiting. I was like, well, just bring in 3 more people.
Yeah, like hibachi style,
I'll talk about the game. Yeah. But they didn't do that. They gave me my own table. I felt like I was quarantined. And then I had a full rack of ribs for $32. They were outstanding. Got a little side of mushrooms for $5. Really good. A rye toast is $1. $1. Who's not going to do that? So, I just gorged myself on that. And then I took some pictures of the pictures. That's cool. And then I did a little community service thing because I have this thing. I don't know if we talked about this.
We did not.
Here. I have this thing no matter where I go. I did not catch any typos at the Dillon Center. That's how good it is. But almost any time I go into a place where there's writing and names and words, I find a typo. So how do you think they spelled Herschel Walker on this oar? They put up this wooden oar with a photo of him as a cowboy. Remember Jerry Jones went to Arkansas, and they traded him. That's how they won. They traded him to Minnesota. They got all that stuff, and they won 3 Super Bowls. So how do you think they spelled Herschel?
Hershell. Herschel.
Probably been done before.
Yeah.
What do you think? That's what you're going with?
Yeah, I'll go with that.
Nope.
I took a picture of it. I'll send this to you as well.
We'll send you. Put that in post.
Everyone watching this is going to be a lot smoother than what's going on in person right now.
I better remind myself here because I did bring it up to the folks. I felt almost guilty about it. It's Hershal. So we were in Arkansas. So they spelled it Hershal. Herschel. And I pointed that out to the and they're commemorating his 1991 Winter Olympics as a bobsledder. So they didn't get into his Senate run, but I did point it out to my waitress. She'd been there 10 years and she had never noticed it. They wasn't aware of and maybe hadn't looked up there. And I said, maybe you'd like to point that out. And he said, well, I don't know if we can fix that. And so I was like, okay. And so I did. I clear conscience. I tried to help out, but I will say, Herman's. Thanks to Pete Gordelli.
Yes,
because he gave us a Herman's Rib House after having worked at Arkansas for all those years, and there's a reason people line up there and wait out in that gravel parking lot. It was really good, really nice people. pictures of everybody, including John Calipari, already on the wall.
I'm sure that was one of his first stops when he arrived in Fayetteville.
Oh, yeah.
So you made it back to Tulsa, driving back on a full stomach,
late.
okay?
Yeah.
Everything all right? You didn't have to pull over and take a little nap?
Yeah, I'd be like asleep after that
There's
meal.
no napping on that. No safe napping on that ride from because you go through large gaps of nothingness.
Yeah.
Cherokee Nation.
Okay.
Is all trees. Apparently, that's all that I saw, and there was some tolls that the South Bend Tribune will be learning about later, and
Because you didn't have an iPad?
I didn't bring it this time, no. So there'll be some tolls, but double the cost. But no, it was great. But that Bob Dylan Center, outstanding. I also went to Greenwood, and a very important history, sickening to consider. But the Tulsa, does a great job in owning up to its past.
If there were more road games, if this was like a Major League Baseball season, we can have our own segment like Travels with Mike.
Yeah.
I'd be delighted. Yeah.
All right, that might be a new segment. We only have 3 trips
I didn't really
left.
get into the Miami trip much.
What are you doing in Miami, Mike?
We're not, no comment.
No.
No, I went to Key West. I went all the way to Key West with my girlfriend.
Well, yeah, that was, but you...
With my girlfriend. Just say it.
Bill Belichick has entered the chat.
Yeah.
We have
Key West.
We have Pittsburgh, Boston, and San Francisco left.
Do we?
Oh,
That's
wow.
it.
Yeah.
That's it for travel.
That's great. I did the post game video, which that's kind of a take it or leave it, and looking back at it later, what is your trick, Jackson Neill, when you do a bright sunny video stand up as you people call it? And how do you make it so that your eyes don't disappear so that you look like they've been gouged out?
Oh, like the
How do
raccoon,
you do that?
The raccoon eyes.
How do you do that?
It's tough, especially when it's like in the middle of the day and like the sun's coming right down on top of your head.
I didn't realize it was too late.
Yeah. So
I'm just gonna take a nap over here.
When in doubt, you just want the light coming at your face. But if it's like right on top of your head, like high noon or something, it's there's not much you can do. Maybe tilt it up a little bit so some of it comes on your eyes. But then again, you're dealing with the sun.
You'll edit this out, right?
Sure. Okay. All right, I'm doing a lot of editing.
Spoken like a man who puts a little foundation on before we do.
Oh,
before
yeah.
we do our podcast.
You see, I'm not shiny right here.
Where the hell are we right
Yeah,
now? I
this
have
is
no idea.
Back to you, Tom.
Thanks. How am I gonna transition to that? All right. Herman's Rib House aside, Jackson. Notre Dame scores touchdowns on its first 6 possessions in Fayetteville. Jeremiah Love scores 4 touchdowns. The Irish roll up 641 yards of offense and throw a shutout for the final 33 minutes. The only touchdown Arkansas scores is from their 6'8", 344-pound offensive lineman taking a dive from a yard out. Where was the level of quit for Arkansas compared to Purdue of 2024? Because when I watched Jadarian Price take that to the end zone late in the first half, my first thought was, this was worse than what we watched in West Lafayette a year ago.
Yes, if you're comparing them, Arkansas this past Saturday was worse. Just for reference, I mean, we all know Sam Pittman got fired.
Yes.
Then Bobby Petrino, their offensive coordinator.
Yikes.
We all know him. He's now the interim head coach, and supposedly there was maybe conversations if him or the defensive coordinator, whoever was going to be interim head coach. You have to imagine that. He gets it, and what's his first thing he does within 24 hours?
Everybody's out.
The entire defensive staff is out. It was like Game of Thrones, basically.
It was.
We kind of talked last week, I mentioned the whole, get to the 5 games, then you can fire Pittman so these players can't transfer out and redshirt. I think the players realized that, and honestly, watching this game early on, Arkansas showed a little bit on offense. There was a couple drops, and then once they realized that Notre Dame was kind of running away with it, the quit factor was at 100%. It was there. They did not care about this football game after a little while, but still, I would still say impressive. I mean, that is still an SEC team, but on the lower end.
An SEC team that has a fan base that just decided at halftime, you know what? I think we're going to Herman's Rib House.
Yeah.
We're getting out of here because that place cleared out, and it cleared out really fast.
That's what Ty Washington told us in August. He
Yeah.
said, I mean, it didn't seem plausible that the idea was that but he's like, it's too hot for those noon games, 11 a.m. local start. And if you get on top of them, he laid it all out. If you get on top of them early, they'll all just leave. It's too hot for them. They just want to get out of there. And they did. I'll say this, though, walking back to the distant media lot after the game. I walked before the game too, but I had a chance to see all the facilities. They have everything. There's Bud Walton Arena is a jewel, of course, and then they've got
all Walmart money.
And they got incredible
Tyson chicken money too.
Yeah, Tyson chicken money
and FedEx money too. Fred Smith, they have something named after him. So, and they have I can't imagine anybody besides Oregon has the jewel of a track and field stadium as they do for John McDonald. John McDonald, they had won all those relays over the years. I think that's what they're known for, is speed. But they have everything. Baseball is always great, so it's just they got to pick the right person. And you're kind of watching all that. You're thinking, man, what? Maybe they should just let Mike Denbrock run Arkansas football and see how that goes next year. Because I think he could. He's been in the SEC. He's torn them up at LSU. I don't think it's too long before we start seeing, if they keep putting up 56.
Are we breaking news here?
I'm just saying.
Sources tell Mike Berardino.
That's the kind of guy who even at this stage of his career could do that. You just need competency in that job, and apparently they'd run out of that. But Hunter Yurachek is the AD, and he's the one who had to fire Sam the next day. He's also one of 13 members of the College Football Playoff Selection Committee. One of 13, and I'm just wondering, do you think Hunter, when he sits down with his brethren and a woman from Virginia, Carla Williams, AD, in early November, will he be salty about that fake punt down 29? Will he be thankful that Marcus Freeman went ahead and just blasted him so he could get out in front of the curve and go get John Gruden? And of course, also he paid $10 million. That loss was so bad, they paid Sam Pittman $10 million to go away.
They paid Jimbo Fisher $73 million.
Yeah,
Texas A&M.
They could have
when
waited.
You don't like your coach.
Yeah,
you don't like your coach.
These days,
you're getting rid of him.
Yeah,
the weird thing though is there was that clause. Did you guys see that clause?
I did see that.
If they needed him to lose 3 more, which almost seems certain, they just waited 3 more losses. He drops under 500 since 2021, not even since his first year, and then the buyout would have dropped by $3 million. And all they're doing is whining about the lack of funds there, which is odd for football. Yeah. And but they just no, we're just going to do it. And then they should have, as you guys said, they were running. Notre Dame was running routes on air.
Yep.
CJ, very good, but they were running routes on air. And then,
Still impressive, though.
And then, yes, Jadarian had that run against Purdue where it was like, okay, running out the clock. I guess I'll just keep going.
Does anyone want to come? Does anyone want to come tackle me?
Nope.
And it was in literally the same vicinity, right in the middle of the field, and he's just kind of looking around and.
Wait.
Nobody's coming to get me. Okay, I'm just going to run to the end zone.
He cut back just for the heck of it. There was really no need. He could have pretty much just gone straight ahead. Everybody else was just bumping into each other. It was like a children's soccer game.
I don't think there was. The one thing I will say though about the quit factor, I don't think it came in until a little bit into the game. I think at the very start there was not that quit. Like they didn't come into this game like rolling over. So the fact that the 56-13 I think is a little misleading in terms of just the pure talent on these two teams if they were playing at their 100%. But you do have to give Notre Dame credit for realizing this is a team that could be quitting, coming out there, getting a couple, getting some scores early, and then just taking control from there. I think that it's the fast start that you really have to give Notre Dame credit for in this game.
And if you're sitting on your back patio, like I was,
nice,
I saw that,
and listen to Marcus Freeman's halftime interview with Taylor McGregor, you could have almost guessed right there that fake punt was coming because he talked about staying aggressive. He didn't want to have his guys relax. And then sure enough, you're up big on your own 25-yard line, and Marcus Freeman throws that out. Good call, Jackson, or save it for later.
I'm usually a fan of things like that, like save it for later. But I will say, if there's one thing we've seen with Biaggi and the special teams and just Notre Dame and the special teams the past season or so, they seem to have a lot of these creative plays all the time. So maybe they have something else up their sleeve.
Just when you think they can't get any more creative, based on the fake punt that they ran with that got whistled for illegal formation against Virginia last year. They come up with that thing. Let's just run Malachi Fields through the middle of the field and then break out toward the corner or toward the sideline and have somebody throw him a pass, and that works. Like everything Marty Biaggi dials up. A, the creativity level is off the charts, and B, it freaking works almost all the time.
Yeah.
I can only imagine how many more variations they have for a fake punt. But I will say, watching the replay and the clip that Notre Dame put out with a little Isaiah Dunn interviewing Jordan Faison about it, they slowed down the actual toss, and I think the most amazing thing about the play is that he had absolutely no part of the laces. He's got a glove. He's wearing a receiver glove.
He's wearing gloves.
But he's got no part of the laces. He's throwing it from the nose of the football. His hand's pretty much just on the nose, and he just like shot putted it. You know, this is maybe how I might have thrown a Nerf at age 5, but it got there. I think it spiraled.
I don't know how he did it to Jackson. I'm wide open over.
Wide open. Yeah, they got. You know, I remember asking. I think the last time this was a topic, really, Marcus. Running a fake punt, going into the bag of tricks, or it was a fake field goal with Tyler Buckner down at Georgia Tech. Why wouldn't you save that for a game when you really need it? Because they were up like 18 at that point, and it was late in the game. And he said, "I'm not going to wait. I'm not going to save anything because." And he's expounded on this. He's putting another thing for the opposing coaches coming up to prepare for. If it's 5 minutes, if it's 3 minutes, it's something else that their limited time with their players are going to have to work on that. You know, Jeremiah Love may never be in the backfield on a punt again, but you certainly know that now they know he can go run it that way and run a reverse pass. All kinds of things they can do. One thing they could do eventually out of punt formation is punt. They might actually punt.
We're getting too hard ahead of ourselves with the punt.
I know it would be crazy.
It would be crazy. Like James Rendell's like, I got the easiest job in the world. I don't do anything.
Came all this way for this?
I came all this way to stand on the sideline.
28 straight series, including a kneel down. But 28 straight series for offensive series since the last punt came with 11:30 to go in the third quarter against Texas A&M. Do you think they punt this week? Are we at that part of the segment yet?
No,
no.
We're so far ahead of that, and you're wrecking my one hot take. So
okay. All right.
So we're putting the period on Arkansas. We're moving on. I feel like Bill Belichick again. Sans the girlfriend. We're moving on to Boise State. Once again, Notre Dame plays an opponent it had never played Arkansas before last week. Has never played Boise State. Distance between Boise State and Notre Dame. Jackson, what is it? Without looking.
Oh, I just looked. So you probably had to ask Mike.
1,800 miles.
2,446 miles between Boise, Idaho, and South Bend, Indiana. One of Marcus Freeman's best quotes from Monday, talking about the bumpy road. The bumpier road, the better. Bumpy can lead to better.
Bumpy can lead to better. I liked that one.
And he said it with his Marcus Freeman kind of sly look on his face.
Yeah.
Bumpy. Now he's like bumpier. The bumpier, the better. I kind of agree, but I kind of disagree. Like this team has traveled such a bumpy road for the last 2 years. They know nothing but bumpy.
Yeah.
Can we just have some smooth sailing for at least a couple of weeks before a certain team with the letters USC get to town? Does Saturday have to be bumpy?
In college football, I think especially too, it's like the best teams have these weeks where it's like they're super boring because it's just like they're blowing out some team by several scores.
By 56-13?
Exactly. Like if you're a top team, if you're a top program, you know, a good portion of your games should be like that. So I agree with you there, Tom, where sometimes you don't need it to be bumpy. You just want to take care of business.
What can smooth sailing look like for Notre Dame on Saturday, Mike?
Never trail. Shut down a potent running game. Make Maddox Madsen look like the 5'10" gentleman that he is, as opposed to his numbers that make him seem like he's statuesque. He's basically Drew Pine size-wise. Put him on the run, and and get 40-plus points out of it against a pretty good defense. Just don't mess around.
Do we need to see All-American cornerback Leonard Moore this week?
Not necessarily.
I say no.
I don't think we do. I
don't think we need to see him until
USC.
See, look at that. Great minds thinking like
Makai Lemon. He's already watching Makai Lemon tape.
Makai Lemon's coming. So don't rush Leonard Moore back. I think if you can hold it down with Mark Zachary and Dallas Golden and whatever combination, like Tay Johnson has that other safety spot locked down. Like it's Tay Johnson and Adon Schuler. Mm-hmm. If you can hold it down with some young corners the next couple of weeks, then you bring Leonard Moore back for the USC game. But I would hate to see Leonard Moore try to give it a go on Saturday and re-aggravate whatever's wrong with him. I mean, it says ankle. Maybe it's that entire leg from the way he collided with Drake Bowen against Texas A&M. So I don't want to see Leonard Moore on as much as you want to. Freshman All-American, one of the best corners in the country. You don't want to see Leonard Moore this Saturday. You don't want to see Leonard Moore next Saturday.
I mean, just his level of talent compared, I think, to the rest of the position group and just how important he is to that is one of the most important on Notre Dame's roster. I mean, you can't, like this week, you're right. This week in NC State, you don't really need Leonard Moore, but if he re-aggravates that he's a season kind of changing player. Mm-hmm. It's not like last year with Benjamin Morrison where then you had Leonard Moore or somebody else behind it. It's like, no, this is after Leonard Moore, there are some players, but they're not going to be able to be at the talent to get you on a playoff run or anything along those lines.
As good as that offense was, and as good as the offense has been the last couple of weeks, scoring 56 against Purdue and 56 against Arkansas, the defense has gotten better.
Yeah.
It looks better. Like why did it look so much better at Arkansas other than the fact that Arkansas reached the point where they're just like, yeah, we're not going to score against these guys. Like did it look different? Did it feel different down in Fayetteville with this defense and Chris Ash?
Somewhat. I mean, they avoided a ton of explosive plays, but still gave up a couple of big runs. You know, the quarterback still went for long gallivants even after the issue was decided. Green is dangerous, Taylor Green, but it's a sloppy team. That's it was they put the ball on the ground. It was almost. They can move it up and down. It kind of, even at their best, I think that Arkansas offense, which is now Petrino's running the whole team, but they've got pieces, but it's a little reminiscent of some of those Barry Switzer Oklahoma teams where they would run up and down the field. You'll have to Google this, but they would put up 500 plus yards, but they'd put it on the ground. Billy Sims fumbled 4 times, scored 4 touchdowns. Not just Billy Sims,
Jamel Holloway,
Elvis Peacock too. But go those teams.
I am.
That's Nebraska. There's some good ball games.
We're just talking Big 8.
Jeff
right
Burns,
Tom Osborne.
See, this guy. He so wants to throw his hat in the ring and be like, hey.
I know one name of this.
Congressman Tom Osborne. So the U.S. Congressman. But I'd say that Arkansas was just a sloppy team. Like 2 holding penalties on the same series once, and even Adon Schuler spoke after the game and said we knew he had a forced fumble. Mm-hmm. He said we were told that Arkansas fumbles, and so we had to get the second man in, not the first, because you don't want to miss tackles. And Notre Dame really has tightened that up. They've gone from 105th in the country in tackling to the top 50 now in 2 games. So 2 missed tackles a game ago, and then similar to this game. But Schuler, who has 7 missed tackles, he's a team in missed tackles, said that they all were coached up by Chris Ash and the rest of the defensive coaching staff to make sure that second man in rips the ball. And they got it, and Devontae Smith recovered. I also noticed that Adon, after the game, didn't mention Al Golden, but used Al Golden's famed finite focus. Because I don't think that's a Chris Ash term. We wouldn't know. We don't talk to him much. But Al Golden liked to talk about finite focus, and that was get the ball out. And so +2 also he talked about, and that was the Al Golden thing. Every game +2 wouldn't be the worst. Maybe they are going back to if it's not broken. If it's broken, let's rework this one. If it wasn't broken, and then it became broken because you tried to fix it, don't try to fix it anymore and it won't be broken.
They simplified it.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I did like how Marcus explained that. He's like, you can play cover 3 about 5 different ways, or you can play it one or two different ways. And so they just decided to take some of these zone principles and just eliminate some of the options, some of the doodads. I think they just got too complex. Yeah.
Jackson, we talked about the back end of the defense with Don Schuler, with Tate Johnson, with the corners. What kind of a step was that, as small as it may be, for the frontline guys on the defensive front, whether it's Boubacar Traore, 4 tackles. Bryce Young, hey, look, we had a Bryce Young sighting, 3 tackles. Jordan Botello, I think that was probably his most impressive game to date. He had 3, and then Gabe Rubio pitched in with 2. So the defensive line isn't probably where you want it, but at least they took kind of a step, and they needed to take a step against Arkansas.
No, they really did. I mean, I think for a while there we were talking about how the lack of sacks, or just Boubacar had 1 for the first 2 games. That was it.
Yeah,
and just the lack of pressure. And I know we beat up on this pass offense all the time earlier in the season, but the simple fact is, if you give quarterbacks several seconds to throw the football, they're going to find an open man, no matter how good your back end is. It's just really important, I think, especially for like the guys who don't have maybe as much experience starting, just getting some of those numbers on the board, getting some confidence with, okay, I can get in the backfield, disrupt some plays, something along those lines. Because last year there was so much experience on that defensive line. So now having some of these new faces. Are you good over there?
No.
I don't think he's buying your point.
I don't think so. I think Tom thinks the defensive line has still a lot to work on, I guess. But yeah, just
more water.
Donovan Heinisch only got 5 snaps in that game because of a left shoulder. He's now on the injury report. He was hurt in a warm-up. And Josh Burnham back down to 6 snaps after bouncing up to 10. I mean, he's playing through something. Marcus talked about it a couple weeks ago when I asked him on the Thursday Zoom, but something left over from August. And so that guys like Cole Mullins and Elijah Hughes,
Hello,
USC,
Cole Mullins,
have jumped in there and solidified the interior. Jared Dawson back to 20 snaps, healthy again, healthy enough. And Gabe Rubio is an impact guy, knocked the absolute crap out of a guy. Can you say that?
You can't say that.
I think you can. I mean,
I'm gonna have to change the setting from clean to.
I don't think that's not bad.
I don't think it's.
He
gotta watch that George Carlin video again.
Jesus out of a gentleman, and that's he just a few days earlier had said, what was his quote? Something like, "Violence can be the answer to a lot of things," and I'm not in favor of violence, but at all.
On the football field,
He meant on the football field.
Let's give a big.
And he was playing with that violence they talk about.
I'll leave you with this. What's the only way to grow, according to one Marcus Freeman? Gentlemen.
Bumpy.
Being uncomfortable.
There you go. He says the challenge for now is for Notre Dame to continue to be uncomfortable. That's the only way to grow. We'll see if they grow. We'll come back. We'll pick up our guest spotlight. Bob Behler, the play-by-play voice of Boise State football on KBOI 670 AM, will join us right after this.
Okay.
Guest spotlight, we're picking up with Bob Behler, play-by-play voice of Boise State football on KBOI 670 AM. We're joined by Bob. Bob, first question. What's it like for Boise making its first ever trip to Notre Dame? Just another game or a really big deal for the people out there?
Well, I'll answer the question first from the fan base. I think it's a really big deal. I think you'll be surprised how many folks in blue and orange find their way into the stadium. I think for the players, they're trying to make it sound like it's just another game, but I would imagine it would be a big deal to them. But they've tried to keep the attitude that it's another game, but against somebody that's really, really good.
What's it like living the life of a group of 5 program where basically you're going to have to Notre Dame and Boise State almost in the same situation. They're both going to have to win out to have any chance of even considering the college football playoff for a second straight season.
Yeah, I think it's an elimination game, certainly. I think Boise State's probably not in as good a position, even if they win out, as Notre Dame is at this stage, because the American winner right now probably ahead of Boise State, especially in light of, South Florida's 34-7 win in week 1 of the season. But you're right. I mean, both of these teams, really to keep their chances alive, have to win this game Saturday.
Hey, Bob, if Notre Dame were to lose to Boise State, if Boise State comes in here and knocks them off as a 3-touchdown underdog, where does that win rank in Boise State history for a program that's been just doing nothing but winning now for going on 2 decades?
Well, I think it would certainly probably be in the top 5 or 6 would be my guess. I'm thinking of some, beating Oklahoma in the Fiesta Bowl probably has to be one. The game at Virginia Tech back in 10, it was the opener. Both teams were in the top 10. Would certainly be in the conversation for best win. The Boise State's had a lot of wins over, Oregon and other in the bowl game. They beat TCU in the Fiesta Bowl one year to cap a undefeated season. So it would certainly be in the. I think it'd be still tough to get all the way to the top with the Fiesta Bowl over Oklahoma.
Bob, I mean, coming into this season, a lot of expectations for this Broncos team, especially coming off that playoff berth. First game, it was a tough one down there in South Florida, but if we've seen anything so far this season, we know the Bulls are a pretty good team, but how has Boise State kind of responded following that opening season loss?
Well, I think they've really bounced back good in the sense, especially on defense. I think they've flown around. They've made better effort. They've made better tackles. The pass defense has improved since then. And probably the biggest thing is they held on to the ball. I mean, they were -3 in turnovers with 2 turnovers, as they're heading down to score. And then they also allowed a fake punt for a touchdown from about the 50-yard line. So, I mean, it was one of those games where, South Florida got a lot of help for their 34-7 win. So, but I think this team has improved a lot. I think especially on the defensive side of the ball, the running backs, I think have improved as well. Coming in for Ashton Genty, there have been 3 guys that have pretty much split the carries. So I think this is a considerably better team in week 5 than they were in week 1. And then just watching the video, I think Notre Dame's a better team in week 5 than they are in week 1.
Bob, you mentioned the running backs. Obviously, no Ashton Genty. How do they make this running back by committee situation work where whoever's back there, it seems like they seem to have themselves a pretty good game?
Well, I think it starts because the offensive line's pretty good. They've got 4 returning starters from last year. So if you got guys opening holes, that is I think any running back will say that if the line's blocking well, that's a good start for your team. I think each of the 3 running backs gives you something different. I think, Gaines is one of the more powerful runners. I think Sherrod is a very shifty runner. Riley is probably the fastest of the 3, but all of them are good. And when you're calling the game on the radio, you really have to pay attention to who's in the game because, they will switch. It won't be drives. It'll be play upon play. So maybe somebody will go 2 plays and then somebody else will be in there. So you really have to pay attention to, whether it's 26, 24, or 8.
I have a question about the Dan Paul hammer. Does that go on the road?
Oh, absolutely does. And it's been year after year after year. And they've done a good job of picking, like Riley carried it out for the Air Force game, and it was 255 yards all purpose for him and Mountain West Player of the Week. So, it's a big deal to be selected for it. I will say this, I have picked it up on numerous occasions when I've hosted the banquet at the end of the season. And I remember the first time I picked it up, I'm thinking this thing is just a ton. You have to know where to hold it. You got to hold it almost up underneath the mallet. Otherwise, it's very difficult to run with. So I said to Riley when we had him on the radio the next week that I thought his most impressive run in a game in which he had 171 yards rushing and the 255 all-purpose, I thought his most impressive run of the day was running out of the tunnel 100 yards carrying the hammer.
This is Notre Dame didn't allow Purdue to bring its big bass drum, and I just want to warn you that hammer bringing it. I understand the reason for it, honoring your late fullback Dan Paul, who died in 2019 at just the age of 30. But it is kind of a weapon.
Well, that's between the security, I guess, and Boise State. But I don't know a time that they haven't had it at a game that they've played.
I think it fits through the visiting tunnel.
That's what that was the problem with the drum. It didn't fit through the tunnel. So as long as that fits through the tunnel,
we're good.
Also,
good.
Here in the Midwest, I struggle. Spencer Danielson, I keep wanting to call him Spencer Torkelson because of the Tigers, but that's not fair because your guy is a really good coach. He's only 36. Tell us a little bit about him. You've seen some excellent coaches through the years, but
Yes.
This guy seems to have an it factor.
Yeah, he does, and he has charisma that doesn't quit. He is so invested in his players. Everybody buys in. You just see an extra effort because he's on the sidelines. Not to say that he's not a good coach. He's an excellent coach. He has got himself a good staff. He does a nice job working with them. And I think one of the things that's made us successful the last couple of years, guys, is his ability to retain people, both players, not transferring, and coaches that have stayed on the staff. So he's done a tremendous job in his 2+ seasons as head coach.
Bob, what is it about that program, the culture of Boise State football, that allows it to be so successful year in and year out, no matter who the coach is, where it's Spencer Danielson or Brian Harsin or Chris Peterson, whoever the coach is, it seems like Boise State football is still a quality program on a national level year after year after year after year.
Well, I think number one, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think they've hired good coaches throughout their history. But I think the biggest thing is the community cares. The community has, funded this program. The state, the university itself, they have made this an important part of the university, important part of the town, important part of the state, and people support it. So I think that you have to go all the way to the people that live in Boise to give credit for why this program is good.
Bob, when you look at Maddox Madsen there as the quarterback, he's had some experience now for the team. What do you see from him now in another season starting for this Broncos team, especially not having, someone like Genty in the backfield?
I think he just is so smart. I mean, every game you look at, there's 10 different guys to catch passes. I think he studies hard. I think he knows where to get rid of the ball to, who to throw it to. I think this year he's better on his intermediate to deep passes than he's been in the past. I think he's very, very calm. I think he just knows what he wants to do with the game plan. And, as I said, just each year seems like he's getting better and better. Threw for over 300 yards last week against Appalachian State, over 300 the week before against Air Force. So I think he's improved a lot this year from last year, and I thought he was pretty good last year.
Have you stood next to him? I imagine you have.
Yeah, he's not that tall. No. Not that tall.
That's what Mike's getting at.
They list him at 5'10". So what's he really?
5'8".
He's probably there. I mean, I'm 6 feet, and he's not that much shorter than me. So, no, I think that's probably pretty accurate.
So, yeah, Notre Dame fans, remember Drew Pine looking so tiny back there, but he did win a lot of games. 8-2 was the starter here, I believe. And now, after several stops now at Bowling Green State. But Maddox Madsen making his 20th career start. I want to ask about the Heisman run for Genty, finishing runner-up to a guy who's playing both ways. It was almost extenuating circumstances. But running backs just don't seem to win the Heisman anymore. It's been a decade. And here's Jeremiah Love splitting carries, basically, with Jadarian Price. But still, there's Heisman hope here. There's a bubbling idea that, maybe a game or two later in the year, they'll just turn him loose and it'll just be his game and he'll get 300 yards and he'll catch up. But you had a guy with 2,700-plus all scrimmage yards and 30 touchdowns and still couldn't win the Heisman. So,
carries in the season.
Yeah, I mean, 374 total carries for the whole season. Yes, he had to vote on it earlier, but he didn't have that benefit of the Penn State game. Can a running back win the Heisman?
I would hope so. I love the running back position. But I think that in order to beat a quarterback out, I think, even though I think Genty last year had the, exceptional season, obviously if I had a vote, I would have voted for him. But I think for the way college football is played right now, I think it makes it a little more difficult for a running back to beat a quarterback.
Bob, defensively, when this Boise State defense is on, what are they doing well, and maybe what have they struggled to do well the last couple of weeks that they can't afford to do come Saturday afternoon?
Well, they've struggled defensively against the pass until last week. Last week they had a tremendous game against the pass. So I think that if, they have to have that kind of an effort against the pass against Notre Dame. And Notre Dame is, got a better quarterback, and Notre Dame's got better receivers. So, I don't expect a game where you get 3 or 4 interceptions, and you run back 2 for a touchdown and have, hold a team under 100 yards passing. But I think it's a situation where if they can continue to play like they did last week on that effort, that they probably will stand a chance.
When was the last time the play-by-play voice of Boise State football said, "I can't wait to go to this stadium"?
Trying to think.
Stumped him.
There you go. That's a good question.
No, I'm just trying to think. We haven't had a whole lot of true road games at places. We've been to a lot of NFL stadiums.
Right. Like a venue.
Probably when they had renovated the stadium at Washington a few years back.
There you go.
The beautiful spot on the lake.
Mm-hmm.
Probably there.
I want to ask about
because most of the teams we've played, the better teams, for bigger games have been either in a bowl game or at a neutral site game at an NFL stadium.
Bob, we realize that Jaden Mickey's in concussion protocol, but so it's certainly too soon to say if he's going to be able to play. But Spencer Danielson saying that Mickey will be on the plane, on the flight, and in that locker room. So what sort of impact has he made just amongst his new teammates there, and how much might they rally around his return to Notre Dame?
Well, I think everybody has really thought that this is a special guy. I've had a chance to meet him and interview him a couple of times, and really smart, really mature. And I think he brought a couple of games that he was able to get in there and get out there. The Eastern Washington game brought some toughness, brought some, as I say, an edge to him playing on defense. So I think if he's unable to play, and I don't know whether he will or won't, but I think he would be a big help playing for the team coming up on Saturday if he were able to get out there. But I think just his presence, I mean, he gives them in the back end of the defense, or even if it's just in meetings, he gives them somebody that has played a lot of college football.
Bob, what's it going to be like come 2026 and you're packing to go to Lubbock, Texas, or Morgantown, West Virginia?
Do you know something I don't?
Big 12? Aren't they going to the Big 12 next year?
No, we're going to the Pac-12.
Or you're going to the Pac-12.
Oh yeah,
the
reconfigured Pac-12.
To jump from the Mountain West to the Pac-12, is it a case where the entire sports program is anxious, or they're like, this is time? It's time to go test ourselves in a bigger conference or a conference that.
Well, the majority of the teams that are going to be in the Pac-12 are people that are moving from the Mountain West. So there are 5 schools or Mountain West Plus. Yeah. Yeah, no, I think people are excited about it. San Diego, Utah State, Fresno State, that's 3, Boise State 4, and Colorado State 5 are joining Oregon State, Washington State, and then a batted Texas State, and then Gonzaga is going to be in for basketball.
Need a chart for that.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've kind of lost track of the conference realignment at this point.
Mountain West should have held its ground, Bob. The Mountain West had done enough and said, "You want to play with us? You come over to us."
I like the name.
Pac-12.
Yeah,
That's not the Pac-12 anymore. They come over to the Mountain West, which is a cool name, and it's got its own history. So recent history, and you got NIU, our old friends from Northern Illinois, going to the Mountain West. But
well, and then they're going because there's openings with 5 schools leaving. So they've added UTEP, I think, is going in there. Grand Canyon's going in there for basketball. I may have missed one, but they're adding several to fill in for the 5 schools that are leaving.
Well, it seems like Boise will always be Boise at this point. They've done it long enough. They're a proven product.
Bob, one last thing. Bring sunglasses. You're going to be looking into the sun all day on Saturday afternoon. It's not the best of views from the western or from the east sideline of Notre Dame State, or the east press box of Notre Dame Stadium.
We had a similar situation in Hawaii last year, and probably the whole first quarter we couldn't see the action. So I'll see what we can do.
it may be the whole second half that you won't be able to see. So, but it'll be a sunny day. It'll be a nice day, and knock on wood, no weather delays this weekend.
Thanks.
Bob, we appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us. Safe travels out here as we see Boise State, Notre Dame, 3:30 kickoff at Notre Dame Stadium on Saturday.
Thanks.
Guess what time it is?
Speak up.
Time to speak up, and Rusty in Cincinnati is speaking up. Rusty would like to know, why have we not seen any two-back sets with Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price? I would think this would be next to impossible to defend, especially in short yardage situations. Certainly it would be an upgrade from the Wildcat, which telegraphs the play and puts 10 men against 11. I do agree. This is me speaking, not Rusty. I agree it would be an upgrade to the Wildcat, but I don't think Jaywan Sider is a two-back guy, is he?
He's good at making sure that two excellent backs get roughly equal treatment, as he did at Penn State and had to do it at West Virginia. I know that they talked in the fall camp several times about experimenting with a 21. We talked about there might be some 21 personnel instead of 12 personnel.
Look at the football spirit.
We're back to the 12 personnel.
We're doing a lot of 12 personnel.
That's what Mike Denbrock and Notre Dame, that's in the DNA. But I feel like we've at least, have we seen them out there? Maybe not, but maybe starting off with two and then they split one out into a slot. Because Love does, I think they've been out there in that way once or twice where Love ends up in the slot or even wide. Because his receiving ability is such a weapon, and yeah, I'm still, I want to see more out. I'm not eager to see more out of the Wildcat, but I'm not going to write it off here until I see it another time or two. There will be matchups, I believe, that will call for it. The way that Mike Elko's defense wanted to come at Notre Dame encouraged Denbrock, he said, to roll it out for that one. And I think they did spend enough time with the direct snap and Jeremiah Love and reading defenses and making sure that the ball goes in the right place. And as Love said the last time we talked to him, he looks forward to passing. And
that's coming. You know that's coming.
He's going to do it.
If
you want to win the Heisman with stats that are not Genty-like, because Genty with 2,000+ yards couldn't do it. We're going to talk to our guest about. We talked to our guest about that, I guess. But I will say that the idea of the Tim Brown approach to it, score in different ways, as many different ways as possible, is one way to get on the board. I think he's on the board somewhere to get him to the Downtown Athletic Club in the Final Five. He's already scored as a receiver, as a runner. But throwing with a pass, maybe a kickoff return where he actually does return it. I don't think we'll see him on a punt. And other than that, that's about all he can do.
Jackson, two-back set. You've got Jadarian Price right now averaging 6.8 yards per carry. He's carried 40 times this year and lost only 5 total yards.
That is crazy.
You've got Jeremiah Love averaging 5.2 yards per carry, 85 yards per game. They're doing pretty good with the one-back set, aren't they?
Yeah, I think if my two options are Wildcat or two-back, I'm going to pick two-back. I have not really liked the Wildcat, especially with having Carr blocking at points. All I keep going back to is when I think Love tried to bounce it outside that one time with the Wildcat, and Carr couldn't get the seal block because he's a quarterback. So if I had to pick between the two, I'm picking two-back, but I agree with you on that point, Tom. Whatever they're doing in the running game is working. Like, I think right now it seems like it's working pretty well. I mean, every single, I wonder what the bet is between them for how many total touchdowns they'll score next week. And I don't know. I think, I should get rid of the Wildcat, but I don't know if you need to go two-back.
You want to know how well it's working, Jackson?
How well?
You want me to tell you? It's working. So the run game is working so well. They're averaging 173.3 yards per game with 13 touchdowns through 4.
Yeah.
So totally different situation with Jaywan Sider as the running back coach. Dylan McCullough, good guy, great story. But Dylan McCullough was a guy like, I've got 6 guys that need to play 6 different responsibilities. I've got a main back. I've got a backup back. I've got a pass catcher. I've got a blocking back. I've got a specialist. Jay Sider's like, I've got 2 backs and that's it.
Well, we saw a little Aeneas Williams after the thing got out of hand, but
And a little Nolan James.
I will say, I will. Yeah, and Denbrock said nice things about him. They like his future, but I will say this: I think the backs are running ferociously. That's obvious, and they are really hard to tackle. I'm not sure, in general, that the line is quite back to, certainly not back to Joe Moore Award standard, and still has some work to do to say, oh, what a turnaround, 180, because according to Pro Football Focus, the latest rankings, run blocking, Notre Dame ranks 94th in the country, and pass blocking 92nd. So 92nd and 94th is not Joe Moore Award quality. I understand they had their issues for sure against Miami and Texas A&M. They're going to need a few more games of dominance. What I think you're seeing is just 2 backs who are really the Pony Express of this era. It's like Dickerson and James. And
Jackson's like, who?
And
Southern Methodist.
They ran that. They were so good they had to shut the whole program down.
Too good. That's why.
Death penalty good.
All right, so if they're the Pony Express of they're the
We need to come up with a name. I've been thinking I don't have it yet.
Yeah.
You had that whole drive back from Fayetteville to Tulsa to think of the name.
What do you got?
If Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price are the Craig James and Eric Dickerson of this football team, I have one question about that. Who's driving the gold Trans Am?
Now you lost me.
Well,
Jackson's like, what?
I think Jeremiah's already put out there his vehicles. He did that in the off season. You know, it's all legal now.
It is all
And but I would imagine that for Bling, I think number 4 wins on that one because he's having more fun in the moment with him, and I think Jadarian's all about delayed gratification. He's waiting for. I think he's already graduated, but I think he could come back next year. Be very interested in doing that, but it all depends what the NFL draft grade will be because he got Spencer Danielson. And since it is baseball time, it's really hard for me not to say Spencer Torkelson, but Spencer Danielson.
You got a Tigers update?
Is
1-1 bottom
ding,
of the
ding,
fifth.
ding, ding, ding. So,
I like the Guardians.
Where is your focus over there, mister? Are you running the board or are you watching the Tigers and the Guardians?
You know what?
He's watching the game.
My generation can multitask, you know?
Okay, you want me to tell you the gold Trans Am story?
Yeah, what is that?
Eric Dickerson, when he was in high school in Sealy, Texas, was I don't want to say gifted because they had papers on it, but to sign with Texas A&M, one day he showed up in high school driving a gold Trans Am.
Okay.
And so they said and Eric Dickerson still swears that everything was legal. His grandmother had the papers on it. He was either bought or was given that car to sign with Texas A&M. He committed to Texas A&M, and on signing it, he decided, you know what, I'm going to SMU.
That's great. How much is how much would a gold Trans Am, how much is that worth? I have no.
Well, back in those days, the gold Trans Am was the car to have.
Because of Smokey and the Bandit. That was a black Trans Am.
That was a black one.
But everybody wanted the Trans Am.
It was a gold Trans Am. It had T-tops on it. It was a sweet-looking ride for Eric Dickerson. So he just showed up one day driving a gold Trans Am.
Maybe
they didn't know how. They didn't know why. They didn't know. Well, they knew why. They didn't know where. But Eric Dickerson, to this day, when he's interviewed about it, still says it was all legal.
Boy, was he terrible as a sideline reporter. Terrible. But he could really run. Here's something about Dickerson that's fair. He was an upright runner. He was unusually upright. He did not hurdle people, but he also didn't get down into an athletic position. He would kind of just run like he was in an Olympic event sprinter, and that's how Jeremiah often runs. And was asked about it on the Heisman Trophy podcast about his upright running style. It seems to be working for him. Yeah. But we're gonna see if the hurdling is wise. I just still think that it's cringeworthy at times, not just for. How it might make that particular play go, but it just takes one guy to get up to just do a wishbone on him, and A&M knocked his helmet off 3 times, and I think they would have been happy to do even more damage. But thankfully he keeps getting through these things. Jaywan Sider talked about last night. I just asked him one question. He talked for 2 minutes about it. It was a great answer. We wrote about it at ndinsider.com on his approach to the hurdling. That's something that the James gang didn't do. And they also had Reggie Dupard down there. But that's when SMU now in the ACC after the resurrection of the program.
That was one long-winded answers that we all gave for one Speak Up question. If you want to join our Speak Up segment, we have a link on ND Insider every Sunday that goes live. Go there, click the link, ask your question, make your comment, and you can join the Speak Up portion of Pot of Gold. So that's Speak Up for this week. Let's wrap this baby up, shall we?
Pot of bold?
Pot of bold.
Ooh.
I'm going to have to fill because Mike Berardino now, as you see him on camera, scrambling to come up with
remember my score.
With a prediction or a score or both.
Arkansas 45.
Wrong week, Mike.
While Jackson's going to give me a prediction on the Tigers-Guardians game. So that's where we are with this show. Easiest part of the show, give me one hot take, one score prediction, while Jackson shuffles
I'm ready
and juggles baseball and football, and Mike Berardino tries to figure out who they're playing this week.
I'm ready to go.
My hot take, we mentioned it earlier in the show, for the third straight week, James Rendell will not punt on Saturday.
Wow.
I like that one.
And for the third straight week, Notre Dame will score 8 times, although this week they're throwing in a field goal. So if my math is correct, and they told me if you go into journalism, there would be no math. 8 scores would be 7 touchdowns and a field goal, and that would translate to 52 points. So I'm going Notre Dame 52. Are you checking my work? Are you checking my work?
Yeah, carry the 3, Mike.
7. So
it's hard to keep up.
I'm going 52. Notre Dame 52. Boise State 24. The Irish move to 3-2. 3 wins in a row, and as good as we're feeling right now, man, we may be feeling even better next week. So there you go. Gentlemen, the floor is yours.
All right, I'll go next. My hot take, last week was pretty bad. The Jaden Greathouse. I guess he's not going to do anything this season, even if they throw that many touchdowns.
He made a very nice catch.
He did.
Yeah, but I mean, still pretty far down the receiving list. I'm going defensive touchdown this week. I think the defense able to get some interceptions off of Maddox Matson. In big positions. I watched that South Florida game earlier this season. Just, I don't know. He didn't throw an interception there, but just does not look comfortable, I think, on these like big road environments, and this is way bigger than South Florida road environment. So defensive touchdown, and I'm going very similar, Tom. I'm going 49-21. I feel bad picking under 50, but right. At a certain point, like, I'm just going to say 49-21.
There you go. Mike, take us out.
I'm going to say Notre Dame 45, Boise 16, 3 field goals. Boise has trouble in the red zone. And I'm going to say that the special teams that will produce its 3rd touchdown of the year, there will be at least 1 special teams touchdown, because Boise is 97th in the country in special teams PFF grade. I think they struggle in that department. So, but, you know, we all said Arkansas last week, so who cares what we think?
Exactly. But again, I was thinking about that today while I was working out. Like, okay, we all 3 of us picked Arkansas. If I had to do it again, I'd still pick Arkansas because the defense I was not sold on. Mm-hmm. Now the defense is looking a little better. We'll see what happens on Saturday. We're picking Notre Dame to go to 3-2. Will they go 3-2? Stay tuned, but come back next week right here at this time for our next edition of Pot of Gold.
This has been the South Bend Tribune's Pot of Gold podcast, your home for insightful Notre Dame football coverage and analysis.